On this episode, we talk about the Raw after Mania, including multiple debuts, the women's division, WWE acknowledging the crowd, new Intercontinental Champion again, and more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what is going on? Welcome to episode 137 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place where we talk about that which is the World Wrestling Entertainment, and in this case, WrestleMania Overload has concluded. If you're listening to this, then this is the Raw post-show. We actually had a special thing for WrestleMania where we provided our full, in-depth WrestleMania analysis both in our iTunes RSS feed and on the YouTube channel, which is Byte That Cast, where we are just less than 80 subscribers away from hitting 5K. That is 5,000. So thank you for your support. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com. And for this and tons more, do check out the YouTube channel because we got top 10 WrestleMania stages. We talked about NXT TakeOver. That was not on the RSS feed. So for all that good jazz, make sure to check that out. My name is Juan Velas. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and yes, I will be talking about Primo and Epico. I just want to get that out of the way. That is going to happen. Keith is going to talk about it too, who hails from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and Ryan Savage from Boston, Massachusetts is in the building, guys. Ryan, how are you?
Bet. For those of you who don't know, I lost a bet to Keith. I somehow thought that Dean Ambrose would become champion before Roman Reigns. I was very, very wrong.
Why you would say that?
I lost that all the way back in November, and I finally paid up on the day of WrestleMania, on the day of WrestleMania, and it's over on the YouTube channel. If you want to feast your eyes upon some cringiness, you can go over
as somebody that has feasted their eyes on said cringiness, I can say that the cream truly does rise to the top, Ryan. I was most impressed.
Yeah, Ryan's...
At least somebody was.
Yeah, Ryan has a tendency of losing bets and having to sing or do something a little bit crazy, so hopefully it keeps happening, because honestly, the cringiness is awesome for me.
Ryan, can I give you a piece of advice from man to man? Don't take any more bets.
No, I'm really not. And the funny thing is, outside of this podcast, I'm generally pretty good at winning bets, but my luck, this is where my luck runs out. So I'm done. I'm out of this. But
basically, know when to say when.
You guys got a best of 5 coming up soon. So.
Yes, and you get to choose our stipulation. So hopefully Keith loses. But we'll see what happens there. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we did talk about WrestleMania immediately after, provided a full match-by-match analysis, the things that maybe disappointed us, the things that were great about the show, the overall impression, the audience, etc. But now that we are recording on Tuesday night, we've had over 24 hours to sort of sit down, breathe, analyze. Maybe we agree or disagree with some of our very own impressions or thoughts about it, and about maybe what some people are saying. There is a split crowd saying this was one of the worst WrestleManias. Others are saying average. You're not really hearing like, hey, this is a 4 to 5 star show. But starting with Mr. Savage, what did you really think about WrestleMania now that you have had that chance to sort of wind down a little bit?
I don't think too much of my opinion has changed at all. When we were rating it 1 to 4, I said it was about a 2.5. I think it still stays as a middle of the road WrestleMania, not truly spectacular, but definitely has its highlights, with Shane McMahon jumping off the cell as the unforgettable moment and the best match. I still stand by the women's championship match as the best match of the show. The only new thing that's really come to mind is kind of today I was just thinking they still just can't build stars. What star was really built on this show? This was supposed to be Dean Ambrose's big star building WrestleMania. Yeah. Roman Reigns clearly doesn't look to be any better off than he was before. You can say the women's division is probably the only one that I think really greatly benefited from this, because you look at the other matches like Shane and Undertaker, and they'll both be gone. And what does it matter?
What do you mean they built that young up and comer, the Undertaker? They did a really good job.
I know,
that
like
kid.
Bray Wyatt, there could have been an opportunity there with The Rock.
Hey, Eric Rowan.
Yeah. I mean, Eric Rowan did semi-main event WrestleMania against The Rock. You cannot take that away from him. Yeah.
History will show that Eric Rowan fought The Rock at WrestleMania.
Exactly. But it's like, you look at it and what happened? The Rock beat up the Wyatt family. The Rock and John Cena beat up the Wyatt family. Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, Steve Austin beat down the League of Nations. All the Attitude Era went over pretty hard. And, and we look at Raw and it's like, who really got elevated?
Yeah, no, now that I've had a couple of days to really sit and think about WrestleMania, I still hate that we ranked it 1 to 4. 1 to 5 just seems so much better. No, I can't. But I really think it was a very middle of the road show. The people that say it's one of the worst are crazy and need to go back and watch some of the bad WrestleManias, in my opinion.
There are some bad ones.
There's some doozies out there, but there was nothing special, and I think you can attribute that a lot to the fact of what Ryan said about how no star was really built. They even had people lose that ended up going on to win big things at Raw, which completely boggle my mind, honestly. But yeah, there was some good matches. It was a solid show. It was a long show. If we complain constantly about Raw being too long, man, seems like nothing in comparison to WrestleMania. But it was an all right show. Like 2.5 out of 4 if we're still going with that.
Just to jump in quick, NXT without question proves that we want quality and not quantity. Give us 2 hours of great wrestling instead of 7 hours of wrestling.
Yeah, I actually had the chance to watch not all of WrestleMania again, but I did watch the ladder match and the triple threat women's championship match, which still makes me happy to finally be able to say that. And those 2 matches were indeed outstanding. Everything from Zack Ryder, who we will talk about here, the ridiculousness that he already lost the title, even though even Kayfabe News had a joke article before Raw stating that was going to happen. And then they tweeted, "We told you so." We actually had a Twitter poll after WrestleMania, and over 70 people voted. The result was 42% of the people went with a 2 out of 4. 2 being average. It was 21% bad, 25% good, 12% great. So I think that does seem to be the overall thing. Now, I kept thinking to myself, why? And I was listening to another really awesome podcast, the New Age Insiders, on the way here, as a matter of fact. Those guys were at WrestleMania. They had multiple shows. They were all over the place. And one of them, and I don't think it was his intention, he was talking about the fact that it's not WWE WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania. WrestleMania has become far more than just a show. It is a week-long experience of WrestleCon, Evolve, Ring of Honor, having all these shows because they obviously capitalize on the fact that, that WrestleMania is in such a place. They're going to have so many people. And I think that WrestleMania is no longer the show that, as we used to say, oh, this is where the story comes to end, or this is where the story continues to evolve. WrestleMania is a fun show with a bunch of people in it that traveled across the world, and that's about it. And when you think about it from that context, WrestleMania was a fun show. It really was. But when you contemplate match by match, like you said, Ryan, who was really made? Like, who are you going back? At WrestleMania 30, the story was about Daniel Bryan. Clearly, there was nothing else.
To your point, Juan, a little bit, because you're talking about the people going to WrestleMania for the experience, more of like it's an event, it's a showcase for the people that have traveled across the world to where were they again? In Dallas, right?
Dallas.
So how good of a show is WrestleMania then? By the time they are done with it, those people are bored to tears or just don't care at all.
I think it really depends. I actually had a friend of mine that did go to WrestleMania and the Raw after, and he's not a casual fan, but he's like casual plus, so he knows of NXT, but he doesn't really watch it, and he loved the show. I mean, the guy had an awesome time because I was trying to sort of get not negative information, but, you know, get some scoop of like, yeah, how was that live event experience? And the guy had nothing bad to say about it. His first text message was, "We're going next year, right?" And that was like right at the tail end of the show. So here's a guy that has been at this event, which had over 90,000. It's not apparently 101, which WWE apparently did inflate, but still over 90,000 people in there. And the guy loved it. So I think it's just such a different experience. Like even when we went, we did get fatigue though. So even though that was a shorter WrestleMania, and Ryan, you went there too. Did you guys get WrestleMania fatigue at any point at 29? Because I didn't go there.
Oh,
you guys
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was basically almost asleep during the Triple H versus Brock Lesnar match, honestly.
Yeah, but we talked about how WrestleMania, it's not always for us, that it tries to appeal to an even wider range of audience because it's they're trying to pull in everybody, even the casual fan who maybe that's the only wrestling show they watch all year. I think WrestleMania, you can describe it as one word that takes priority over everything else at WrestleMania, and that is spectacle. Everything is for the spectacle. It has to be this big, great thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there's any long-term plan with it. It's just to make that show, like you have to pack in as many special moments, and I'm going to use finger quotes here, as you possibly can.
So Eugene in every match.
You know, everything is just shoved in there like, hey, here's a WrestleMania moment. There's a WrestleMania moment. Oh, look at that. You're going to remember that for the rest of your life. Exactly. Yeah. So it's all for the spectacle, and it's hit or miss because I don't think if a show's all spectacle and not enough substance, then you walk away a little unsatisfied, at least if you're a routine, like, you know, if you watch wrestling on a regular basis.
Yeah, so overall, we did enjoy WrestleMania. It was not an amazing show for a show that we were really looking forward to. You can go back to any of the last 10 podcast episodes, and generally speaking, we were really looking forward to WrestleMania. So if you want more details, we have an almost 1 hour video on the YouTube channel with our lovely mugs, or just go to the RSS feed right before this podcast episode. You should get another thing that you can download, and Keith, Ryan, and my voice will be playing on that MP3 file. Now, the majority of that WrestleMania crowd goes to the show that people know as the Raw after WrestleMania, or the WrestleMania after WrestleMania, because it's usually when we get a ton of debuts, which we did, you get a riled up crowd, which we obviously did, and you get something that does shake things up. Now, that was maybe questionable here. I don't think that, you know, as opposed to other years where crazy things do happen, I think this was a more solid edition of Raw. But the one thing that I immediately got to get to, and WWE addressed at the very beginning, this is a passionate crowd. They love to boo the bad guys. They love to cheer. They love to cheer the bad guys. They love to boo the good guys. So it's crazy. It's everywhere. Everybody from around the world. Basically, they tried to sort of justify the fact that it's not going to go according to their plan. Did you guys appreciate, or did that sort of annoy you that as Raw started, they immediately addressed that?
That message is not for us. Clearly, we all know that. That message is the hopeful message to all the people who tuned into WrestleMania and are watching Raw for the first time. It's really just to say, hey, this might be a little confusing as to why the guy who seems like a bad guy is getting cheered by everybody. So they love to do that kind of like, they're always talking to, like, commentary most of the time is always talking to the new audience, and a lot of times they're kind of ignoring the hardcore audience. So that's another reason why we probably dislike the commentary so much, is they're really always talking to the lowest common denominator. And I don't mean that by like intelligence wise, but someone who's like the least familiar.
Yeah, in terms of time investment, somebody that maybe doesn't watch every week, the commentators are there as a buffer maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And from another angle, I appreciate it in the way that if those people are doing it to almost spite the WWE, boo for the bad guy, or cheer the bad guys, boo for the good guys, then maybe they take a step back and like, oh, they're in on it now. Now we can't do that. So maybe it makes this whole phenomenon take a step back, which I think it absolutely needs to do.
Now, usually, I'm against that. My immediate reaction was, just stop it. Like, there are so many circumstances. Even Keith, while we were watching WrestleMania, you told me, did the audience just sounded mumbled? Did they lower the volume? And apparently they did. Because a lot of
during
people...
a specific part, during Mr. Reigns' entrance, it sounded very muffled, I found. And sure enough, it was true. They muted the booze.
There is evidence on the internet, because you can get everything. It's not just about porn. It's about information also. But getting to Raw, the one particular segment where, you know, the three of us were communifying, just to say a cool word, during this was the Charlotte Women's Championship presentation. Now, at the beginning of the promo, you could tell what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be half acknowledging, like, yes, this is a movement, this finally happened, and then Charlotte was going to go into full-blown heel mode, you know, it's all about me, and blah, blah, blah. That first part has to be one of the most uncomfortable segments that WWE has had in a very long time, because you saw, and I looked at this after, and you could see her face, her frustration as a person. Like, she became Ashley. She was not Charlotte at that moment, because the crowd was not giving a damn about this. People complained for years about the Divas division. Oh, get rid of it. Get rid of the butterfly. They finally do it. And without giving Charlotte or anybody else a chance, they start hijacking the segment.
It was so annoying. This is just when the crowd got to the point where they're just they're trying to make it all about them, and that's when it's annoying. And it just came off like a bunch of spoiled brats, like, oh, we're gonna like cheer, we're gonna sing that. Are they singing like a Bailey song or whatever?
It was
like,
similar, yeah.
It's just like, oh, because now that we got the women's title and we got the women's division, so now we're just gonna complain and like cheer for the next thing that we want, instead of actually appreciating that it took a lot of people lobbying and a lot of time for this to finally happen, and it's something everybody's wanted for so long. And then when there's finally going to be like a moment to really acknowledge that, the crowd just dumps all over it, and that's just annoying, because that's not a representation of what most wrestling fans want. Like, we all wanted this, and we all would have loved to be there to appreciate it, and to see the crowd acting so disrespectful was just absolutely frustrating.
The thing that really got to me was basically it was that beach ball that I just couldn't stand. That is so disrespectful, the fact that they are throwing around a beach ball at a live event, especially when something like the women's would coronation be the word? I'm sorry.
Yeah, formal presentation.
Yeah, presentation. And so to do something like that is just so disrespectful. Just let them have their moment and don't try to go into business for yourself.
Okay. Some people listening may be thinking, how dare you? People paid good money to be there. They can do whatever they want. Here's an example. You go to a movie theater. You watch, it's a movie you've been anticipating for years, like the new Star Wars, right? You sit there and you're watching it, and all of a sudden somebody behind you go, "This movie sucks! This sucks! Like, I want Star Trek! I want Star..." Would that not annoy you?
That is why you fight people.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's necessary.
Like, it is a matter of, okay, I understand you paid to be there, but it's the same reason you go to a concert to hear somebody play or sing. You go to a movie to watch the movie. It's not about you. And I myself as a fan, when I go there, as much as I may hate or somebody or not, I try to become part of the show, because otherwise then, honestly, why are you there? I mean, I get you paid the ticket, but at least do something to enjoy the show, because if all you enjoy is a beach ball, then next year is going to be great, because it's going to be in Orlando. There are going to be beaches nearby, and we can provide you with a Byte That beach ball if you want, but not during Raw, not during any of this.
We cannot confirm that, by the way.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get that yet. But here's why this matters. Because that sets such a bad example, because for anybody that complains about the WWE trying to sort of manipulate the audience, be it with edited SmackDown, reactions or anything, this justifies that. this justifies it because here's a segment that completely caters to what you guys are wanting. And not only, this is where I maybe, I don't want to sound negative towards a lot of reactions, but this really got to me. Not only was that bad, but then everybody was focusing on Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte couldn't handle that. Charlotte was so awkward. She's inexperienced. Yes, as a matter of fact, she's been in wrestling for less than 5 years. And I think it's safe to say she's a human being entitled to have feelings. And here are people not giving a crap about the segment when it's about gender equality, but then people are worried about a beach ball. Rant mode disengaged.
I blame Keith.
Yeah, honestly, I'm part of the problem.
The damn
ever
WrestleMania
since
29, Raw after Mania, it's been all downhill. All right?
It's
because
I
WWE,
admit
Canada.
They put the crowd over once, and now it's like every crowd tries to hijack the show in those major cities. And yeah, it's all Keith's fault. I hope that Slammy was worth it, man.
This is what you Slammy, Keith.
What's that?
Where's the Slammy?
They never shipped me one.
Well, you don't deserve it because this happened.
I guess not.
Okay, let's move on now because something that is related to WrestleMania. So Shane McMahon lost. Therefore, he should not be in charge of Raw. So what happens right at the beginning? Vince says, you're in charge of Raw. As a matter of fact, the authority's not here. It's like, does it really matter what happened at WrestleMania? No, you get to take control over Raw. And
is this like some weird form of 50-50 booking?
Yes.
It's kind of like 50-50 booking a Jace.
It's almost like putting out a fire, but the house still got burnt in the process. Maybe you didn't get the conclusion you wanted at WrestleMania, but Shane's still in charge. Like for this night, but hey, you kind of got both ends, right? So you should be happy. We didn't really see Shane on Raw, and it didn't feel like he was really in charge. Like you didn't see like all these controversial situations that you maybe expect would happen, right?
Yeah. Instead, we just got a solid Raw, which I guess is all you could ask for from an authority figure, right?
Yeah, really. Unless they're trying to attribute all of those debuts and returns to Shane or something weird like that.
I think they are. I mean, they did show Shane talking to Apollo Crews, and they said that
that's true.
He made the Fatal 4-Way and put Cesaro in the main event. So
you guys brought up Apollo Crews. So let's sort of lump up this NXT movement taking over Raw. Because during, I forget, because we did a bunch of videos this past week. One of the things that I believe you brought up, Keith, was that, there's a lot of things. It was during our Twitch stream, over at twitch.tv/PressPauseTV. We did that. So you can follow whenever we stream. That's going to be happening over there. But you were saying something along the lines of there are so many established independent guys in NXT that all these other guys are sort of getting shoved to the side. But here we go. In Raw, we get Apollo Crews demolishing Tyler Breeze. That was sad.
That just hurts on a whole other level. The fact that just an NXT guy came and just demolished another NXT guy. It kind of hurt.
Yeah, so there's him. Then we got Baron Corbin. And we got Enzo and Cass. No Carmella. So I'm curious as to how they're going to apply that to NXT. I can understand why. But it is kind of sad, right? You're used to something being a certain way in NXT, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's removed out of that scene. So let's talk about Apollo Crews first. What do you guys think about his Raw debut, and were you surprised that he's up there?
I thought he had a great match, and I was surprised, but I'm happy about Apollo Crews being there, because I think if somebody has a decent shot of doing well on the main roster, I think Apollo definitely has that chance. It's almost interesting, because I was thinking about all of the call-ups the other day, and how there's almost like a line between people that won an NXT championship and people who didn't, and how well they do on the main roster. Because if you look at Tyler Breeze, let's say not the best, it doesn't really, if you don't win a title, you usually don't do well. And maybe Apollo is going to be an exception to this.
Bo
Hopefully.
Dallas. Anyway, Apollo Crews.
Okay.
Apollo Crews, I feel like he's just like a bigger Neville. You know, he's got that agility and everything. I don't know about the Red Arrow, but
it's gonna be Bobby Lashley 2.0. That's what I'm seeing here.
if
And
Bobby
Lindsay
Lashley
went far.
and Neville had a child, it would be Apollo Crews.
I completely think that if Neville was not injured, he would not be up because he does take that spot. He is if you look at him physically, the last thing you think, oh, here's another high flyer because he looks like a powerhouse, much like Neville. Neville may be short, but the guy is jacked. And then he can pull off all these crazy moves. So he fills that gap with perfection. I'm not a huge fan of just how he acts. Like all of his NXT promos to me were really awkward and forced. He seems to be a naturally good guy. Almost too much of a good guy. So like that's where the Bobby Lashley thing definitely comes up because he was hard hitting, soft spoken. And I think the same thing here applies to Apollo Crews.
Yeah, it's hard to see him like what he's going to do as far like you really got to have the charisma and the mic skills to if you want to be, you know, up there on the card. So it's like, yeah, we're saying, oh, he's kind of filling Neville's spot. Well, Neville's spot wasn't exactly ideal where he was. He was just kind of floating around in that mid-card area. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll see more of Apollo Crews because, I mean, you look at the guy and you think like this he's got all the tools you need to become successful. But I think that weak area is his promos. So I don't know it's trial by fire. We'll see what they do.
And honestly, that mid-card, maybe high mid-card area is really, at least for the foreseeable future, that's where I see Apollo Crews kind of sliding in, like around the United States Championship, Intercontinental Championship, maybe level.
Yeah, I agree completely. And to the Neville thing, those two guys pretty much are almost like a carbon copy because with Neville and Crews, you have the same argument. They are very talented in the ring, but when it comes to the gift of gab, yeah, that is not necessarily their strength. Now, up next, let's talk about another guy that he's changed a lot. He went from being one of the guys that people liked in NXT the least. I would say, like, after Eva Marie, Baron Corbin was somewhere in there of the please get off my screen scenario in NXT, but the guy evolved a lot. Like within the past couple of months, he went from being one of the lower guys to being one of the guys in NXT. Some people may not like that. Honestly, I was on that boat. I didn't like him. I like him now.
Oh, he was the worst when he started. Think about where Baron Corbin has come from that guy that had the kind of entrance that didn't really have a look, and then people would count his matches to see how fast they would be over.
The jobber streak that also had the whole feud with Bull Dempsey. That turned out great.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of Corbin, Ryan?
He's definitely improved a lot since I last saw him, you know, on some of the early takeover specials. He definitely looked very limited, but he's come a long way. He's found himself because originally he was just kind of that, you know, Goldberg type baby face where he just beat you up quick and then not say anything. But, you know, people say that Corbin, you know, outside of the ring, and we've seen in those like behind the scenes specials, I forget what it's called.
Breaking Ground,
that's right. That he really kind of lives that lone wolf, like doesn't really talk to anyone too much, just does his own thing. And he's kind of found how to implement that into his character. And now you kind of buy into him. So I think this character can definitely work, and I'm excited to see what he has to do.
All that being said, I'm left wondering where Baron Corbin fits on the roster. Because I would say even less than someone like Apollo Crews, it seems like Corbin doesn't really have a place right now.
But here's the deal. He's tall. And anybody else, they usually just sour on at the very beginning. But he eliminates Big Show. I mean, he eliminates, who was the last guy? Kane. Yeah, he eliminates Kane at the armbar. He looks like $1 million. Like the match itself, like Raw was extremely well booked for NXT. I think that I can sort of lump up everything into one thing. We worry about how a lot of guys from NXT are going to go up to the main roster, right? Like guys like Bo Dallas and Tyler Breeze are great examples of maybe it doesn't work. But this Raw, you look at Apollo Crews, very, very solid match. Simple, not a lot happened. Baron Corbin, you give him mic time. He says, if you don't know about me, I don't care. Was he a little soft-spoken? Yes, a little bit for me. But if you want to build stars, give the stars a shot. And that is how you start it. He has himself counted out, so him and Ziggler look great. Ziggler is the best opponent you can have for a debut guy because Ziggler makes any move look deadly. He sells like the end of days like somebody died. He looks like $1 million. And now, let's talk about the debut. Then, how long have people been speculating this moment for Enzo and Cass? It's been months.
It's been I feel like it's been a year.
Since the last
People
one.
think they were going to show up at like the day after WrestleMania last year.
Yeah, a lot of people were speculating that was going to happen, and they finally did show up. So we have a match between the Usos and the Dudley Boys. We got the rematch from WrestleMania, but this time it was a tables match because of the table spot that happened. Dudley's win, and now we go to break. They're still there, so everybody thinks, this is going to happen. It does. That crowd erupted. They knew every single thing about Enzo and Cass. What do you guys think about that?
For as much as we've bad-talked the crowd, there is no better place to debut Enzo and Cass than that Raw after WrestleMania crowd, just because they sold them in that segment. If it was anybody, or if it was any other crowd or any less crowd, they probably wouldn't be going along with Enzo and Cass as much as they did. And I thought they had a great debut, and I think if they are going to lead into a feud with the Dudleys, those are some damn good opponents for Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, as much as we shat on the crowd, they did redeem themselves in this segment because
it's all good now.
They instantly made these guys stars.
Let's not go that far. It's not all good.
No, they did redeem themselves somewhat. I mean, they made these guys stars immediately. Like the crowd went insane for them, and Enzo he crushed it so hard on the mic, just absolutely decimated the Dudley Boys. Like I haven't heard actual good burns in a wrestling promo in so long. Like it was actually really good and really entertaining. I feel like you just don't hear that enough. And
the fact that he slid in that he was going to drop them like a deuce made me the happiest man.
It was just like, oh my God, someone who's writing their own material. Like this was no writer came up with this. Like this had to be Enzo because it was actually like original and creative.
I do love it. It was original and creative. Therefore, he had to write
not made by creative.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
Two things happened this weekend. One of them was Shinsuke Nakamura at NXT TakeOver. That guy, I forget who tweeted, but they said that at exactly 0 seconds, he became the most charismatic superstar in WWE. And that's true. His entrance alone, from the second that it started playing, everybody knew he was a big deal. Enzo Amore is not an NXT guy on the Raw roster. He is a badass machine on the main roster that in one night, everybody knows about him. And one night, because, and this is, the crazy thing is, it's not because of him or Cass. It's because of the Dudley Boys. Because they gave a crap. They reacted to what Enzo was saying. How many times have we said that in a Cena segment or in any other segment, the guys just shrug it off whenever they get back
Fine speech.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's nice for somebody to finally react. And that connection, like the fact that we can get a rivalry between Bubba Ray Dudley and Enzo, two great talkers. We know what Bubba can do, especially with everything the guy did in TNA. So that immediately became the most, the feud I'm looking forward to the most. I don't know about you guys.
Let me add to that by saying we can look at that example of how the Dudley Boys helped make Enzo and Cass, and then look at The Rock and Bray Wyatt the night before at WrestleMania, where
opposite.
Wyatt's, talking up a big game, and then The Rock just craps all over it, and then Rock bottoms one of his guys and beats him in 6 seconds.
So here's a question for you guys, and I realize that I'm the Debbie Downer this week, but that's okay. Do you think that we're going to run into a scenario where Enzo is just too good on the microphone, where maybe some people can't keep up and he's going to have to tone it down?
So he becomes JTG, just too good?
I guess so.
Oh.
Snap.
Check out the interview, youtube.com/ByteThatCast.
Exactly.
Yes, we did interview him. So that is out there. But he's going to be the next John Cena in that case, where he becomes so good that it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. What?
Bold prediction by Juan confirmed.
Yes.
Enzo is the next John Cena.
But let's be honest. Okay. Sans Enzo Amore, when is the last time that somebody comes out there that doesn't just speak? You know, like, anybody can be given a promo that's like, oh, you know, he talked about behind the scenes stuff that we don't hear. He was just a straight up character. He delivered things that are fairly normal. He was a good guy making fun of the bad guys. Nothing groundbreaking, but the delivery and his presence and his look, because his look is pretty out there, cemented him as somebody that people should care about.
Honestly, you're not wrong at all, because more than I don't think anything takes you further than good mic skills do. Good mic skills will take you to the top. It doesn't matter how bad your wrestling is. If you are great on the mic, you're gonna be successful. And that is clearly the case with Enzo. I mean, this guy is just bleeding charisma and just originality. And there is no ceiling for this guy. It doesn't matter that he's a short guy. Like, Daniel Bryan can make it, so can Enzo.
All I'm hoping is that for SummerSlam, this is the WWE World Tag Team title match. The New Day versus Enzo.
You know it's going to happen at some point.
It has to go there.
And
it's going to be so good.
Yes, both are good. So it's a matter of crowd, enjoy whoever the hell you want. It's going to be outstanding. Oh my God. I really just want to see that so badly.
The promos are going to be amazing.
Oh, so good.
So good, so good. Now, as I brought up the New Day, any thoughts about the New Day after WrestleMania? The reason I bring this up quickly is because the Budios box, and we didn't talk about this in the review, partly because we were really, really freaking tired, is that we originally hated the concept of the Budios box. It seemed outrageous, like even with the unicorn horns, the New Day single-handedly, it's three guys, so three-handle credenza or something.
Tri-handedly?
There you go, that's how you say it. They were able to take things that maybe somebody hates or people said would not work, and not only did it work, they can come up with a giant Cheerio on Raw, and people love it, Michael. So any thoughts about the New Day?
I mean, I'm still not crazy about the Budios thing. Like, I don't fully get that part of them, but their promos have gotten a little bit better. They had a bad string of promos for a while. I think they're kind of recovering from that. And like, I mean, when they did the whole Lion King thing with the Cheerio, I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just kind of, you drill it into somebody's head enough and they'll adapt and like accept it. So I think,
don't be a booty.
Yeah, I think the Budios thing, it's just kind of part of their shtick now and people just go along with it.
Have you ever twerked?
Don't answer that. I'm giving you full permission not to answer that. But one thing I will say about the New Day, and honestly, it's about the highest compliment I can give them, is every time I start to ask myself, is it getting stale? Is it getting stale? They always change it up, because it's gone from Francesca to Francesca 2, now to Budios, and the unicorns in between. Even though there are some weeks where it doesn't exactly hit the mark, they're constantly changing, and I think that's one of the most impressive things about the New Day, and I can't wait to see what they keep doing.
Yeah, they don't get complacent. They don't just do the same old thing. Sure, they have their catchphrases that they repeat every time, but what's in between that, they try and do something new every time. So I give them credit.
So we did get some form of a rematch on Raw for the tag titles because of what happened at WrestleMania. Match concludes. And for the longest time, we even talked about it last week, like, what's up with Barrett? Isn't he supposed to be leaving? They cut a promo saying, you know, we are as strong as our weakest link. Goodbye. Barrett is gone. The League of Nations is now down to 3 men. Do you care about that? What do you think about the situation? Is Barrett gone? So many questions, so little answers. Keith, are you okay?
I think I'll be able to manage, but I laughed at that promo because it's almost reminiscent of the Nexus when they kicked out Darren Young, the whole like we're only as strong as our weakest link thing. So I thought that was funny. The League of Nations, it's still kind of hard to care about them as a group. I would still like to see specifically Rusev more of an individual. So,
Yeah, I mean, Del Rio doesn't even care about the League of Nations. He won't.
How are you supposed to care?
Yeah, how are we supposed to care? You won't even wear some damn red, all right? Wear some red. Look like you belong in a team. Yeah, seriously. Hashtag all red everything. Yeah, I mean, Barrett was just unceremoniously kicked out of the group and nobody cared. And I feel bad. And that's maybe the last we'll ever see of Barrett. And yeah, it's a tragic story of a guy who had so much potential. We thought this guy was a future world champion. Yeah. Now he's gone. And the Wyatt family now getting involved. It's like, it's seriously
who extra cares.
Yeah, this is the, let's fight to see who's the biggest WWE reject team.
Kick him while he's down, right?
Yeah, they were just like, oh, here's just a group of guys we don't know what to do with, and here's another group of guys we don't know what to do with, and let's put them in a feud against each other.
The most exciting part about this is actually a feud where the Wyatt family could win. They could come out on top. It's a crazy concept.
And the Wyatt family's potentially turning babyface?
At this point, turn them, right? Because how long can you go with this whole threatening good guys, I'm going to get rid of you only to then lose and then move on to another one? So maybe a babyface turn is the best thing right now. Plus, I mean, Eric Rowan, after that WrestleMania loss, what can you really do, right?
He had a match with The Rock. He's one of the biggest deals in the company. Upside down Sheamus is going places.
Yeah.
He had a record-breaking semi-main event match against The Rock at the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Just let that sink in and know that Eric Rowan's going places.
The Rock needed to bring a flamethrower to the ring to deal with Eric Rowan.
He did. I mean, that's all.
He also needed the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders as well.
Exactly.
That too. But ladies and gentlemen, before we keep going on with the Raw discussions, we do have a couple of announcements to go through because last week was our WrestleMania Extravaganza week over at our YouTube channel, Byte That Cast. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we are almost at 5,000 subscribers. In July marks our 3-year anniversary, actually, since we started Byte That. 3 years, Keith. 3 years.
What a 3 years it's been. Wow.
Crazy stuff. So what can you find at our WrestleMania Extravaganza week? We have a full-length 58-minute review on WrestleMania, a 5-minute torturous video of Ryan Savage. We have Keith and myself doing top 10 WrestleMania stages, a 30-minute discussion video talking about that, a 38-minute Thuckatash, what happened there? A 38-minute NXT TakeOver review happening between Ryan and myself, a WrestleCrate March unboxing, a WrestleMania 22 retrospective, our WrestleMania 32 predictions, and the list keeps growing. The JTG interview. Like, we interviewed a former WWE tag team wrestler about his career and his second book. This all happened in 1 week. 1 week.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
And you know what's going to happen this week? Sleep. Because, man, I need it.
Yeah, it was an exhausting week, but we do it for you guys. The fact that we get so many people from around the world, from Saudi Arabia, Germany, just so many places, it is continuously crazy. We went from 30 overall listeners to over 5,000 combined on a weekly basis. The fact that you guys take your time to listen to us while on the bathroom, which some of you have revealed that you do, and for that we thank you, or be driving. It's the least we can do.
Are we specifically thanking those who listen to us in the bathroom?
Well, because, I mean, you don't know what they're up to.
If you spend the whole hour...
Yeah. Okay,
Hemorrhoids.
yeah,
Might wanna see a
let's be
doctor.
real here. Yeah. I know how long this podcast is. If you are listening to exclusively in the bathroom, number one, I compliment you because that seems like an amazing feat, but man, you spend a lot of time on there.
We don't want to know what you're up to there, but just thanks for listening. Hopefully it's not just the Ryan parts. But and we did Twitch stream on Saturday
He
before
is savage.
the Hall of Fame over at twitch.tv/PressPauseTV. PressPause is where my wife and I have a gaming website and channel. We're doing some streams there on a weekly basis, and we know that we weren't really able to keep the Byte That Twitch stream going, so the best way is, like, a lot of times wrestling conversations will occur there. Shout out to Barnables and everybody else, Crossroads, Cody Collier, a bunch of people that always go in their true prints. The list keeps growing. Your interaction really means a lot to us. Keith and I were there, and it was crazy because we got so many questions that we felt a little bit floored at one point, because it was like, wait, we answer a question, but then we get 5, and we can get to this one, and then so many things.
That being said, it was a lot of fun. We will have to do that again sometime.
Yes,
And also, we will resurrect the Byte That Twitch as well. It's not dead.
but it is right now. So hopefully
It is right now.
Let's say an indefinite sabbatical.
Yes.
I don't want to be related to sabbaticals because last time bad things happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, let's talk a little bit more about Raw. Obviously, this is a more extensive episode, and we do have your questions at the bottom of the show, which are a lot of them. So, as I mentioned, Zack Ryder did become the IC champ at Mania, loses it the next night to The Miz. Now, this was one of my favorite segments on Raw because the match was great. I would say that this was The Miz's best match in years. Like, one-on-one match. It was really good. Okay, Keith is giving me a weird look. Why is that?
I'm giving you a weird look because I'm trying to think of any other Miz match that I would consider better than this one. I would say that it's one of the best matches of his career.
Yeah, because it's there. Obviously, these are two guys that know each other very well. Whenever you hear them in a podcast, you know that him, Ziggler, and a Ryder are like this combination. Plus, you involve Zack's dad pushing him down. Plus, Maryse is now back and is apparently going to be in some way of a valet for Miz. I don't know if she's going to be going back into the ring, former Divas champion. But a lot of things happen in one segment featuring nobody new, but it felt fresh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a sad story that Zack Ryder gets his amazing WrestleMania moment, has a great match with The Miz, but unfortunately, it's a one-day championship reign like a lot of people feared that it would be. But hopefully this leads to, I think at the end of the day, if Zack Ryder becomes more relevant, I'll be happy. But if he just kind of fades back into obscurity, that really kind of feels bad. Miz, it's like, when he becomes IC champ, because he usually, it's kind of just like, when they don't know what to do with the Intercontinental title, they'll give it to like The Miz or Ziggler. And that's what's...
You're totally right.
Yeah, that's what's kind of depressing about it. But they threw in enough interesting things that I do want to see what happens. Like they throw in Zack Ryder's dad. Now Maryse is back because when they showed the rematch happening on SmackDown, she was on the graphic.
Yeah.
Like she's going to be around. What role she's going to have, we're going to have to see. But it is pretty cool that she's coming back to at least just be part of Miz's character. Because were they ever... Because at the time when she was really around, I wasn't watching. Were they ever a thing on TV? Or is this like the first time they've acknowledged
No,
this?
I mean, they
I don't
met
believe so.
because of it. No, the reason they're even married is because of the Diva Search. He first met Maryse during the Diva Search because she didn't know lick of English, and he was sort of mesmerized. So it's kind of funny that, you know, they started together on TV in some way, and they became a couple, and now...
But were they ever an on-screen
couple? I don't believe so.
So this is the first time like they're acknowledging that they are a thing on WWE TV.
Exactly.
That is pretty cool.
Yes.
That is pretty tight.
I'm personally happy to see Maryse back. I liked her back in the day, especially as a valet. Her and Ted DiBiase Jr. were a cool little couple on screen. But as far as Zack Ryder losing the title, I'm personally okay with it. I mean, hey, you know, got his WrestleMania moment. even if he kept the title for a while, you probably wouldn't see much more greater things come out of it than that. So
Poor guy.
Yes, but at the same time, what more would you expect? What more did you want to see other than Zack Ryder get his big moment? I mean, even if he's chasing for the title, the fact that he is in a feud, he is on Raw, he is on SmackDown, that is a step in the right direction. Now let's see if it actually stays that way beyond the next couple of weeks, because I do think him and the Miz is the actual Intercontinental Championship feud. So I'm very curious what happens beyond that.
Yeah, let's hope it comes to that, because if you think about it, it maybe makes a lot of sense to do it this way too. Hey, let Zack get that big IC title win to kind of like jump him back into the fray. But if you want people to be kind of invested in him, you can't just have him already have his reward. You got to have him kind of chase after it. So by him chasing after the IC title, it helps build him back up and get people interested, want to see him win again, as opposed to just defending it against whoever, where people might already lose interest because they already saw him won.
Just don't make it a Christian World Heavyweight title scenario.
Yeah. He needs to stick around. If they just get rid of him, then it's pretty sad. It's the metaphorical wheelchair off the stage.
Oh, let's hope nothing can be. No. I was gonna say nothing can be worse than that, but they are capable of doing something like that. But I do hope that he's able to win again, but that it doesn't feel like a charity case, because WrestleMania did feel like a fluke, right? So maybe the next time he does win it, it's like, yes, you are now officially the champion. Much like CM Punk when he first won the title. Not a lot of people thought that he was the champion. Later on, became WWE champion. The whole thing changed. Now, we're not going to really talk about it now, but just reference it. The Vaudevillains are apparently going to be on SmackDown. SmackDown is taped on Tuesday night, so as we're talking, SmackDown is in progress, I believe. Not sure what's going to happen there. They were a little bit lukewarm at the tail end of NXT, if not the majority of the thing, dare I say. And they've had a lot of trouble. Not sure what's going to happen here. I really don't see them doing many great things. Hopefully I'm wrong. So next week we'll really talk about that once we have a chance to see something. Maybe they even show up on Raw. The thing I got to get to now. I feel like I almost need to speak in Spanish, so I may do that for a couple seconds. We were treated to a promo that, Keith, you have not seen this, right? Because you didn't.
No, I missed this part.
Okay,
I caught the highlights.
Okay, so visualize a tropical beach, which you could have been in here. Hopefully, one day you will.
Visualizing
warm weather. You see flowers. Then you see Primo and Epico. They're back.
Okay.
Instantly, this image has gone down significantly.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed.
So you're at the beach. You see two men smelling flowers, and this is not
another
good.
fanfic fantasies. What's going on?
Oh God! Oh, Dean. Okay, now what happens is they are coming back as Primo and Epico. And it ended with a greeting card saying greetings from Puerto Rico. So they are openly Puerto Rican finally, because they were Mexican, then Puerto Rican, and then Spanish, and now Puerto Rican again. They finally have an identity. I'll be honest, the crowd in Puerto Rico, the audience here, hates the idea. I think that we sadly have way too many homophobic wrestling fans. So obviously I can't really say what people are saying. But
where does the homophobic part come in?
There is none. That's the situation. Like, it
I was about to ask, was there some sort of undertone?
Was there
an
implication?
Is it just because they're sniffing flowers?
Yeah, honestly, it is that. But the comments were so bad, I cannot even begin to somehow explain them here, because they're not highly offensive. They are insanely offensive. And the fact that it is the majority of them, I'm like, come on. But I'm not a huge fan of how a lot of people perceive Puerto Rico down here, like wrestling fans, etc. And this doesn't really help the situation. But I'm looking forward to this. Finally, they're being acknowledged as being from Puerto Rico. So, por fin, carajo, o sea, bastante tiempo se tardaron para hacer algo así.
Does Primo, and I guess by extension Epico, get Primo's old theme? That is the $1 million question in my mind.
Oh my! It makes sense. I mean, the theme
does,
even
right?
points out Puerto Rico.
Exactly. Will we get a return?
So you're not even looking forward to their return. You want to hear the theme
I
return.
just want to know if the theme comes back. If it will, I'll be so happy because I troll you with that theme to this date.
Terrible version of it.
No.
Oh,
I don't give that away for free.
Yeah, I think we have more vignettes coming down the pike because this really didn't tell us a whole lot. So I think we need to see more. I hope there's a little bit more depth to these characters than just, hey, we're from Puerto Rico, because we've already seen them as Primo and Epico. So,
I mean,
give us a little something more.
Bullfighters was the last one.
Yeah.
So,
I'm always reminded when TNA had their first and last house show here in Puerto Rico, Scott Steiner was there, and he was wrestling Apollo. Not Apollo Crews, Apollo, a really popular guy. He's currently over at Mexico, and I was second row. And I hear... like Scott Steiner, to get some heat, to get hatred, he just starts yelling, "He's Puerto Rican! He's Puerto Rican!" I'm like, yes, you're pointing out a fact. How am I supposed to hate you? He then got close to me and proceeded to push me and my camera falling on the floor. But I got pushed by Scott Steiner. I was happy that day.
You were touched. You were touched by our Lord.
Touched. The last thing
by
here.
An angel.
Last combination here, because we are running out of time. We got to get to a lot of questions. Roman Reigns and then Cesaro, ultimately AJ winning this fatal 4-way battle royal. Thoughts about Roman Reigns' overall interaction during Raw? It was a little bit weird. He was sort of way cockier. I would say a little bit more like Shield Reigns. Now, we did get multiple questions, so I'm just going to generalize. Is this implying some sort of Reigns heel turn? I don't think so, but does this imply some kind of change for you guys?
I perceived it more as character than a heel turn because I'm in the camp at this point that we're probably never going to see a Reigns heel turn for the same reasons that we never saw a Cena one. But, if they're going to give Reigns a little bit of personality, that's the thing that he lacks the most. So it's a good thing from that point of view. But as far as the whole main event scene, I'm sort of crossing a threshold. And I've realized that it's been happening more and more through the WrestleMania build where I'm starting just not to care about the main event scene. Like, I value the rest of the show. I value the mid-card way more than the main event scene. Even during some of the build to WrestleMania where I was just completely tuned out by the time they were building the main event and whatever they were doing with Roman Reigns around it. So, I don't know, it's just hard to care about it at this point, and I hope they change my mind, but I feel like that's something that I've been feeling more and more lately, and maybe maybe that's something that wrestling fans, even the smart wrestling fans, will start to feel more and more, like put less investment, less stock into the main event itself.
I'm not gonna ever say after one Raw, unless it's very apparent, that, this is a character change, because too many times we've seen them go one, they're one way this week and then they're another way the next week.
I should kind of revise that with character depth.
Yeah. So with Roman Reigns, he's acting a certain way, I think, because he knows he's going to get booed. So he's just trying to play kind of a tweener role. And that could be the role he sticks with. And kind of my thoughts on Roman Reigns hinge on the results of who his challenger is. So I think I'll just reserve the rest of my thoughts for once we talk about the Fatal 4-Way.
Okay, so my thing is basically what Keith stated. You stated that beautifully, where it's a matter of character depth. And like you said, Ryan, they knew the crowd that they were going into, so it's difficult because he can't just act as a heel to get cheered, because, the idea is that if he acts as a bad guy, then people may like him, because then everybody else is going to go, oh, he's a bad guy now. So he has to sort of act neutral, just get this Raw over with, and next week it's going to be like the official first week of him as a champion and the role that he will continue to portray as time goes by. Now, there is this fatal 4-way match for Raw where Sami Zayn got taken out. I myself thought that it was going to involve Finn Balor. I brought up the Balor Club on multiple occasions during the videos. I thought something was going to happen here. It did not, but, AJ is the number one contender, so something could occur there. But I want to take it back first. Cesaro is back with the most badass entrance ever.
Oh, it was so good.
What did you guys think about Cesaro being back? And are you happy?
Can that please be a regular thing where he rips the suit off? Because that's like a badass, like, wrestling Jason Statham thing or something. Like, that needs to be a thing. Just change the freaking theme, you know? Just change the damn theme. Because it actually took, like, I dislike that theme so much. Like, when initially they just showed the crowd and his theme hit, it, like, took me a second to remember it was Cesaro.
It's not
because
about the theme.
I was like, what is that? Like, and then I was like, oh, nice, Cesaro. But yeah, this Fatal 4-Way was like one of the best matches on Raw in a very, very long time. Really, really suspenseful because, you know, it was a main event of Raw that A, they gave time to be good, B, actually had consequences, and C, actually like went beyond like the normal expectations of a Raw match, as in like Chris Jericho was pretty much the one you thought was going to win this, right? And I think one difference between a good match and a great match is just that little bit extra more where it goes a little bit further than you thought it would. Because when Jericho hit the code breaker and was going for the pin, everyone thought it was done because he was the guy everyone expected to win, and that it just felt like the natural conclusion. So when there was a kick out there, it was like everyone went nuts because it was like, no, that isn't how it's going to end. We're actually going to get something unexpected. And then for AJ to get the win was just huge.
Was it? Because
I think so.
On its own, yeah, kind of.
Debbie Downer, what's up with this?
I told you this week. I don't know.
Keith. Controversial.
But with the lens of it being the Raw after WrestleMania and the fact that AJ Styles lost at WrestleMania, then boom, all of a sudden he's the number one contender.
Yeah,
it kind of left me going like, what? Why?
Ryan, I want to hijack this because I know you're going to say one word eventually or two. Plot convenience. That's got to be somewhere around in there.
Well, maybe I wasn't going to say that specifically, but that is certainly the case of just like, oh, we're going to give Jericho the win on the pay-per-view so that it will make up for it by having AJ win on Raw. But it's like, hey, wouldn't it have been so much better? That doesn't really
make up for it, though.
Well, I know, but I'm saying make up for it is bad. It's like, wouldn't it have been better for AJ to win at WrestleMania than win tonight? So now he's going to this title match like red hot
against Roman Reigns.
It all falls back to we're not building stars. You know, we're doing all this 50-50 booking, and they'll constantly, it's like, we'll spend all our efforts building up Roman Reigns, and everyone else is just going to trade, be win trading the whole time, and no one gets anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, this win, I just see it as AJ being sacrificed to the WWE gods to build Roman.
See, I don't see it as that bad based on the fact that he's jumping into a WWE title match pretty early, and I feel like as long as he doesn't get completely wrecked, that it's only going to elevate him by being in a title match. All he has to do is get close, and I think he walks away fine from this. What kind of getting back to the whole Roman Reigns thing, I think the plan going forward, I hope, is they chose a babyface to go against Reigns because they think, okay, if we do it this way, Reigns is kind of like a tweener, and at the pay-per-view, it's going to be the people who want to cheer for Reigns are going to cheer for Reigns, and the people who want to cheer for AJ are going to cheer for AJ. So you're not going to hear as much Roman sucks. You're going to hear let's go Roman, let's go AJ back and forth. So the face versus face thing makes Roman look better. It does.
It's very. It seems very similar to the Daniel Bryan situation from a little over a year ago.
Yeah, it kind of takes the heat off of Reigns because people want to cheer for AJ.
Exactly, and I think that's great because it makes for an interesting match. The dynamic of this powerhouse like Reigns, we never really got to see him in a feud with Daniel Bryan, and I think that this is pretty much the next best thing.
We did.
Yes, but
they actually had a
no. And I understand that, in which Roman Reigns clearly won. But I do think that it would have been nice for Reigns to become champion at some point now, like this Reigns, and now have a rivalry with Dana Bryan, because I do think that was something that was going to happen. It's the same way like we had two kinds of Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. We had the one at WrestleMania 19, and then we had the one at, I believe it was SummerSlam. And nobody thought they could outdo the match, and they did. And not only that, they outperformed their previous storyline. Why? Because they were able to practice. They were able to get better. And this Reigns later on would have had something like that. And AJ is within the same realm. Not the tallest guy, agile guy, and I always like the powerhouse versus the agile guy. It makes for a fun match, and I still think that the Balor Club, or whatever name, at some point has got to be involved in this, because unless Seth Rollins becomes the thing after this match, I really don't know what's going to happen there. But regardless, what is your overall impression now that we've had to sort of dissect some things? Did you like the Raw after Mania?
It was a solid show.
Yeah, I thought it was a very, very solid Raw. Was it like the mind-boggling Raw that we've gotten in the past? No, but I thought it was still a very, very good Raw, and we still got a bunch of new debuts, so you really can't complain.
What I like the most is not only did we get a lot of debuts, and with Baron Corbin, of course, he showed up at WrestleMania first, but we got established situations. Baron Corbin, it's not just, hey, here's the NXT guy. You already sort of know what character he has. You already know the rivalry that can happen between The Miz and Ryder. AJ Styles is officially the number one contender. It's not a curiosity. So they were pretty clear on this. And the one thing we didn't even get to, because it needs to be saved, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. That is officially a thing, and I know a lot of people wanted that to be a match at WrestleMania, and it should never have been, and it's because now we can get this beautiful rivalry take its time and hopefully be one of the top two matches at SummerSlam. Please don't. It's going to happen at the next pay-per-view, probably. Damn it.
No, it definitely is, and that's fine. Because it's going to be a long program. And, if it doesn't go to SummerSlam, who cares? If they still go 3 pay-per-views and have 3 awesome matches,
that's true.
It's really all the same. Let's have some great matches at the B pay-per-views. And one quick thing, is Payback now the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania? I think they might be switching.
I honestly cannot
I'm gonna
clarify
go to the
that
Google
information
real quick. Well,
yes.
Yeah, when we get to our questions.
Yeah, while you go do that, at the end of the show, we always have your questions. Now, how can you get those questions on the show? You can send us a tweet, ByteThatCast, with the hashtag AskBT. You can also send us an email, bytethatcast@gmail.com. Remember, Byte is with a Y. Why? Because, well, why not? And if you're watching us or listening to us on YouTube, just drop a comment on this podcast for a question for the next episode. No information, Ryan?
May 1st is WWE Payback. Now I have to see when Extreme Rules is.
Oh, the plot thickens. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Let's, savor that information for after the questions. Let's get the anxiety going. Some people already know the next pay-per-view, so it's not really that, climactic or something.
They could pause and look it up.
Yeah, they can do that better than we can right now. But Keith, bring up the questions.
All right, so we got a lot this week, so we're going to get through them all. Our first question comes from Vikash P, who asks, did you like the Dudley's Hall of Fame speech better than their WrestleMania match?
Odd question, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed their speech, even though it was a little all over the place, and it was not really a good speech for hyping up Jacqueline, but a good speech of just the Dudleys shooting the breeze with each other, and it was good, and it doesn't take a lot to beat their WrestleMania match, because quite frankly, I thought it was quite subpar.
Testify.
I still have to watch the Hall of Fame, but I would like to inform you guys that Extreme Rules is in May, so Payback and Extreme Rules did flip. And Payback kind of makes sense as sort of the new Backlash with its name. So there you go.
Agreed. All right. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Robert J, who asks, hey guys, been a massive fan of the podcast now for around 7 months. I've not missed one podcast and you guys are amazing. Thank you, sir. Anyway, here's my question. Do you think Seth Rollins will return in the next 6 weeks? And what do you think about Kevin Owens winning the Money in the Bank briefcase this year? Keep up the good work, guys.
Seth Rollins, from what I heard, there was a guy, I think we mentioned him last week, but there's a guy on Squared Circle who recently deleted his account known as Falcon Arrow, who was apparently some sort of insider that has had a lot of credible...
called every single thing that was going to happen.
He's had a lot of credible information come out. I believe he even leaked the whole women's championship thing before, weeks before it even happened. He said Seth Rollins is expected to show up in May, so that's very possible in the next 6 weeks. If the math's right on that, it definitely is. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Kevin Owens winning the Money in the Bank briefcase seems like a very, very plausible scenario. I think he would be a great person to hold it. As far as the dirt sheets have said, he's expected to have some sort of shot at the championship. So this could be it, or he could have just a regular shot at the title. But I think he's probably the top contender to win it this year.
For me, regarding Rollins, yes, it makes a lot of sense because other than that, I guess Cena's the only other option, and the idea of a rivalry between Reigns and Cena, I'll pretty much go the route of Keith, where I just don't really care what you guys do. Now, regarding the briefcase, it would seem good in theory, but we know what they usually tend to do with the winners, which is they go on consistent losing streaks and irrelevancy for a lot of time, and I don't think that Kevin Owens can sort of maintain attention to himself without that kind of stipulation. So I would not mind it if he won it, but I would prefer it if he did not have this, this out of nowhere thing.
But of the people on the roster, when thinking about Kevin Owens with the Money in the Bank briefcase, he seems like the person that could do the most with it. Even though he doesn't need it, that whole Kevin Owens always talking smack, always lurking around the corner, cashing in, fake cash-ins even. I think Owens could do a lot with that briefcase. That being said, I think even if it isn't Owens, I think somebody from this recent batch of NXT call-ups in the last year is going to win Money in the Bank this year.
Sane. That's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I would say him or even Baron Corbin. I could see with the Money in the Bank briefcase.
It's a little early for that.
It's a little early, but you got to keep in mind he's not going to cash it in right away, right?
That's true. That is very true.
So, and as far as Seth Rollins goes, yeah, it makes sense. My whole thing is just come back when you're ready. Come back when you're healed. Come back when you're cleared.
I heard he did like a CrossFit event, so he's doing better.
Yeah,
he's also CrossFit Jesus, so
yeah.
he's meant to be there. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Promo Neil, who asks, "Hey there, I was wondering your thoughts on the Usos getting victories using a simple splash, while people like Neville and other guys risk their lives with flips and tricks such as the Red Arrow. P.S. How was your calzone, Ryan?"
Calzones were phenomenal. So I thoroughly enjoy those.
Keep in mind the plural there, calzones.
Yeah, we got 3 different calzones. We got a steak and cheese one, a buffalo chicken one, and a meatball calzone. So all 3 of them were amazing. So thank you.
Like, I ate bad on WrestleMania Day, but that sounds delicious.
Yes.
See, I did something terrible, which is I made burgers and fries for lunch. So I felt guilty for having anything big at WrestleMania. So I had some coffee.
Lame. Anyway, so I think he's kind of asking like a kayfabe explanation question, maybe that, the Usos, they'll do the big splash from the top rope, and then you got Neville doing the Red Arrow. What's if the Usos are finishing off people with a splash, then why is Neville going to go out of his way to do all this flippy stuff when he could just do the same thing seemingly and get a win? And there's really no good answer. I think
No,
it's just, that's one of those things with logic in wrestling. They don't always align. And really the best explanation is the Red Arrow is harder to do and it looks more flashy and impressive. And it might, because he has the ability to do it, it might attract more attention, get more eyes on him, make more money. So you go with the flashier move.
For me, I think the splash symbolizes how I feel about the Usos, which is simple and plain. Pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Burn.
I don't really have much to add to that because yes, the Usos are basic and there is no kayfabe reason.
The Usos are basic bitches.
You're not
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I censored myself on that one, but yes, they are.
Are they wearing Ugg boots and North Face jackets?
Hey, you don't know what they wear from show to show.
This is true.
That is true. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Philly RBB, who says, "Hey gang, Philly RBB here. How would you book the best WrestleMania using these 3 simple steps?"
Wait, RBB? What's the new gimmick? Did I miss this?
Yeah, he changes. He's a weekly gimmick changer. He was
What's
Philly
RBB?
Chili. RBB.
Rated blue basketball. That's probably what it's for. That's what I'm going with. But anyway, how would you book the best WrestleMania using these 3 simple steps? Number 1, what is your favorite opening Mania match of all time? Number 2, think of your 2 favorite filler matches, any match after the opener but before the main event. And then number 3, what is your favorite main event? So did you want to just do like 1 step go around the table, 2 steps go around the table, 3
let's
steps
just do all 3 in one.
Or we can do all 3. All right. You start first, buddy.
Play by my rules, okay? All right. Favorite opening match of all time. Trying to just go off the top of my head. Daniel Bryan versus Triple H seems like a pretty good answer. If anything else comes to mind, I'll let you know. Think of 2 filler matches. Any match after the opener but before the main event. I feel like I can't not pick TLC 2 for that. And my favorite main event.
Man.
Come back to me.
Oh, really? Because we could have came back to you with the whole doing it my way.
Oh, shots fired.
Bang, bang.
For me, see, I'll be honest, I'm always bad at remembering or calling matches on the spot like this, so these questions like are a little anxiety-inducing for me. But I will say that I always enjoy the ladder matches that open up the WrestleManias because it's a fun experience and it gets the crowd going. So I would say something like the ladder match that happened at this WrestleMania. It's not the first time they do it, and it's for good reason, right? As opposed to just let's start it off with a one-on-one match. It's a little too normal for me. I would say along the middle, something like the Hardcore Championship match at WrestleMania 17. I like something fun in the middle, or even something like the Gimmick Battle Royal on the same show. Why? Because it's a palate cleanse. Like, yeah, maybe you just got a wrestling clinic at some point or something, but don't forget that it's nice to have a little fun, do something ridiculous. So that's where you put something like that hardcore match. Now, as for main event, the thing is, most, if not all of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time are not the main event. So it's a tough thing for me to answer. But, man, like, I actually I didn't like the WrestleMania, but I liked the main event for 20, like the triple threat with Benoit, Shawn, and Triple H. I enjoyed that. But, man, turns out I don't like the main event.
Want to go through them all?
Well,
let Keith
Here's
go.
my answer, because I've figured this out. I was thinking about it while you guys were talking, and I think I got a solid list. All right, open it up with Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. Even I do think that's the easy answer because that was a main event quality match that happened first because Daniel Bryan was wrestling twice, but easily the pick for the opener match. As far as the 2 middle matches, I would switch it up, like have a very different variety. I would say my first match would be Edge versus Mick Foley in their hardcore match from WrestleMania 22.
That is a great answer.
That was my other pick, yeah.
And then my second pick would be something along the lines of the triple threat double title match from WrestleMania 2000 of Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle, where it was for the European Championship and the IC Championship at the same time. That's a hell of a match. If you haven't gone back and watched it, go watch it. And for a main event, this is the hard one.
I'm gonna run them down from. Is it fair for me to start at WrestleMania 14?
Yeah,
like Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin. Is that a fair place to start?
Just to jump ahead, I would say mine is probably the WrestleMania 19 main event between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle.
That's a very good answer. Sorry. So we had Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin at 14. You had The Rock in Austin. At 15 in a no disqualification match. You had at 2000, you had the Fatal 4-Way, Triple H, Rock, Big Show, Mick Foley. At 17, you had The Rock in Austin again. At 18, you had Jericho and Triple H. At 19, you had Angle and Brock Lesnar. At 20, you had Triple H versus Redacted versus Shawn Michaels. At 21, you had Triple H versus Batista. 22, you had Cena versus Triple H. 23, you had Cena versus Shawn Michaels. 24, you had Edge and The Undertaker. 25 was Triple H and Randy Orton. 26, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Did that close the show? Yes, I believe it did. 27, you had The Miz and John Cena, clearly the best one. Then you had 28, you had The Rock and Cena, one. 29, you had Twice in a Lifetime. 30, you had the triple threat with Orton, Batista, Daniel Bryan. Last year we had Reigns and Lesnar, and then Triple H versus Roman Reigns.
There's not a lot of good WrestleMania main events.
And those are good matches. A lot of those are really good matches, but not main event. Like,
are they?
Honestly, like the Batista and Triple H, whenever Triple H is in a match, it's like physical, so I like that, but there is a huge gap because after WrestleMania 20, I didn't really react to any other main event up that you mentioned up until 30. Since 20, that is a 10-year gap.
Yeah. Those are the dark times.
Well, I mean, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels is
yes,
one.
Yes, but I put that in a complete. That's like almost cheating.
And most people like the year before better.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I had to pick one, I would probably say WrestleMania 20, the triple threat, is probably my favorite. It's a little messed up and harder to watch now, but it was a fantastic match.
In the context, like,
it sucks that it's ruined now, but at the time it was like far and away the best part of that show.
It was the perfect ending for WrestleMania, featuring him and Eddie at the end.
Yeah.
All right. We got through it,
Wait,
boys.
do you have an answer, Juan?
Yeah.
Oh, did one not say it?
Yeah, because I said mine was the
30?
triple threat for 20. In the middle, I would say the hardcore match. My second pick was going to be the Edge Foley thing, and then the kickoff match would be a ladder match, possibly like the one that we got here, or one of the Money in the Banks that I know kicked off for WrestleMania.
Okay.
Great question, though.
Yeah.
Indeed, and thank you for it. Our next one comes in from the Wizard of Gore, who asks, with so many people, including his favorite two NXT tag teams, moving up the roster, are you excited for new wrestlers on NXT?
Can I actually hear your answer first, Keith? Because you were one of the people concerned about this in a way.
I wouldn't say concerned more than excited, where I do think personally that there is a lot of indie darlings, indie talent that has taken over NXT. I personally want to see less Bobby Roodes, even though it was teased, less Austin Arieses on, and that's a weird one. Aries? Plural?
Aries?
Close enough.
Arieses?
Close enough.
I like a lot of them showing up on NXT. I want to see less of that, and I'm more interested in the stories like the Baron Corbins. I want to see more people progress the way that Dana Brooke has over the last few months. I want to see those people really shine on NXT, because if you really look at the TakeOver card from this last weekend, it's mostly people that didn't start through NXT. It was people that came in after already established. So I feel like even though there is going to come a time where all of those people move up to the roster and we're going to be back to normal, I would like to see a push in the direction of more homegrown talent, at least for a little while.
I'll step in before Juan, who's the true expert of NXT, really gives his opinion. I don't watch it week to week, even though I should, and I know I'd love it if I did. It's just I never get around to it. But like Keith makes a great point, and Juan's just like, I hate you, and I know you're full of shit.
You know me too well.
But anyway. It is interesting to, like Keith said, to look at the card and just be like, wow, there is a ton of strong indie talent that's really come into NXT. And I remember watching NXT a couple years ago, and the fun of it was just all these guys that really, I mean, maybe there's a few guys who had a name, but a lot of it was just kind of people you didn't know and you kind of got to know them, and it was still a great wrestling show, even though it wasn't filled with worldwide indie talent. I mean, there was still a lot of big names in there, but now it's really kind of it's turned into a different animal. So this might be a chance to kind of bring in some of those more homegrown guys mixed in with the worldwide stars as well. So a push for that would be good. But most of the people who got called up, I mean, are like the kind of NXT people, you know?
Yeah.
Chat and Gable, as somebody here in the podcast would say. But yeah, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable are the perfect example of something feeling great, because Jason Jordan was doing nothing for years in NXT. The guy had so many different looks, and he was a jobber by definition.
I remember him being a jobber.
Yeah, like this, he was in that frequent gimmick before they actually made it into a thing of he was always with different tag team partners or just losing, and then they actually made his character, he's looking for a tag team partner, and man, he found the best possible combination. And you don't get that when you have Austin Aries or somebody else come in, because they already have their luggage. They already got the baggage from somewhere else. It's just a matter of putting it here. But when you're able to put those two things together, that guy that is homegrown in NXT, or has been primarily with WWE, can get the experience from somebody like a Bobby Roode or Austin Aries. So I think as long as that is the combination, and not like, oh, here's Austin and Samoa Joe, or here's Austin Aries and Bobby Roode, and oh, at the bottom of the card are these two up and coming tag teams. As long as that doesn't happen, I am really looking forward to NXT this year, especially when Finn Balor eventually gets called up.
True enough. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from NKBE1324, who asks, which Raw was the best Raw after WrestleMania in history?
We got a ton of questions to go through, so I'll give this one quick. And it's got to be the one after WrestleMania 29, and Keith's probably going to have the same answer.
Yeah, we smack-talked me for that slammy earlier,
and
but
now we
earned it.
Because the main reason for that is never did I feel so meh after a WrestleMania and then have the Raw just change all of that. And then all of a sudden I'm super excited.
It's pretty much it, because the context of that is, despite what you think about Mania, that Raw gives you something to really talk about. This one didn't do it to that extent. That Raw was just an awesome time. Like, even if the storylines didn't matter, that crowd and everything, for everything we complain about, it's incredible to see that. But now that we have seen that, it's like, okay, we get it. You don't have to keep doing it. There's a reason that crowd wanted Slammy, not the other ones. This one's not going to be nominated.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the weakest of them. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Mark B, who asks, which three members of the Shield are you guys? Like, which one is which?
If you guys call me out as Roman Reigns, that's racist.
I was about to call you Roman Reigns, so take that as you will. Got to make Juan look strong, Ryan.
I guess so. I don't know.
I would say myself, Ambrose, Juan, Reigns, Ryan, Rollins.
No, well, I'm going to switch it up and say I'm probably Roman Reigns because I'm the least talented. Keith is the crazy one, so he's Dan Ambrose, and Juan is the most talent, so he's Seth Rollins.
I'm the architect.
Yeah, he's the totally the architect.
I can get behind that.
You guys just gotta make me look strong, okay?
True.
Yeah, so we'll work with you. I mean, you get to turn I turn my back on you, and then people just start hating you, and then you made a
explanation
WrestleMania
for
twice.
Me being Roman Reigns. Did you see my Macho Man promo?
And true. I have all the potential in the world, but continue to mess it up.
I get to wrestle Sting.
Kind of like my life. You dressed up as Sting for Halloween, didn't you?
Yeah, and I retired him apparently.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Cody Collier, who asks, could you see the Total Divas getting a name change soon, since the term diva is no longer there and women are called superstars?
I think the Total Divas name is just going to stay exclusively for Total Divas. I think that is a brand in and of itself. And maybe that group is just the Total Divas, and it's still the Total Divas within the women's division. Yeah. So I don't expect that name to change. Like that show has its own audience or whatever, and that is a section that WWE doesn't normally appeal to. So I don't think they want to mess with that at all.
I agree. They are divas in the sense that in that show they go in there looking for trouble. Those are characters. It's a reality show, so in other words, it's even more scripted than WWE is. So I think it's okay to keep it there because it's not an accurate portrayal of who they actually are in real life. So keep it Total Divas.
Yeah, no, the Total Divas can almost be like a subsection of the women's division now, because the show's not going anywhere, because the show hits such like a different audience, and it probably does quite well for them. So there's no reason to make it go poof at all. So thank you for the question. Our next one I'm going to credit to a couple of people as they all asked it. I'm going to say David E. and Steve-O WWE ask, what was your... I'm sorry, let me try that again. What was your favorite segment of WrestleMania 32, and does the WrestleMania 32 stage get onto your top 10 list? Of course, he's talking about the top 10 WrestleMania stages that you can find at youtube.com/ByteThatCast.
Thank you.
I didn't get to be a part of that stage conversation, but it would be in my top 10 because I thought it was one of the coolest stages they've ever done. Basically, everything in that arena was an LED screen, and it was pretty damn cool. So hats off to them. That star floor Tron was really awesome. So yeah, definitely one of the best. Favorite segment of WrestleMania 32? I mean, if Shane jumping off the cell counts as a segment, I mean, that is the moment of the show. It's just, that was the one where you're just like, what is going to happen? This is insane. Nothing can really top that.
I do think that it makes my top 10 list because it's simplistic, but they managed to make a big stage actually have something of an appeal. I believe it was WrestleMania 27 that tried something similar, but it was just a huge WrestleMania logo, but the stage itself didn't have much. But here with the star, the camera angle played so well into that with the video screen that the star had that I think it is pretty awesome. As far as favorite segment... Now, when you say segment, if we're making it about a match, then I would say...
Yeah, let's extend that to segment or moment, like match or moment, if you'd like to specify.
I mean, moment, obviously the cheap thing is Shane McMahon diving off the Hell in a Cell. Sans that, I'm going to say it's going to have to be Zack Ryder winning. As I mentioned in our WrestleMania review, I've been a member of the Zack Pack since like 2010 when in Byte this... And the dirt sheet with The Miz and Morrison, he was making appearances in some form when he was like a major brother even before. Like, I've been a fan of this guy for a very long time, and seeing him finally get a WrestleMania moment, despite the fact that, you know, whatever happens afterwards, but he got that moment with his dad. So Z, True Long Island Story, you know, it was worth it, man. You got over, kid.
Indeed. I would say,
lost the title.
Yeah, and then got less over the next night. But I would say that the WrestleMania 32 stage hits my personal top 10. My biggest knock against the WrestleMania 27 stage was that they didn't do anything with the big space, and they managed to both make use of everything that was going on with the big star and stuff and still keep it kind of simplistic in the way that they didn't, like, it wasn't this big spectacle. They had they had that perch so people behind the stage could still see and stuff like that, and I thought it was really good. And as far as moments go, I would have to say, like you guys said, the simple answer of Shane McMahon jumping off the cell, that or Stephanie McMahon's promo pre-main event where she was just there talking down to everybody in the most Mortal Kombat-esque way possible. That was awesome. I love that so much, and it bums me out about the main event how underutilized Stephanie McMahon was there besides taking a spear or whatever. It just kind of bugged me because I preached for weeks that Stephanie was going to be the deal breaker of that match, and they ended up doing absolutely nothing with her, and it bummed me out. So thank you for the question. Our final question of the show comes from Aaron O, who asks, if you were a wrestler, what would be your theme, finisher, attire, and gimmick?
Because I watched the Hall of Fame and Keith has cemented this theme song into my life, my theme song would probably be the Freebirds theme. I would have Simon Dean's gimmick because, I want to be cool before DDP Yoga's a thing. My finisher will probably be... I had an answer. I don't think I can say that one. I'm going to say... Oh, man.
You gotta have the curb stomp if you're going to be from Bad Street.
Yes, but I want to be all cool, so I'm going to put a yoga mat on the floor. So I'm going to have it there. So I'm like forcing you, like, get in shape. I'm curb stomping you into a yoga mat. So I'm forcing you.
Sorry, I'm going to hijack this a bit. What if you got into a submission move where you, like, took your feet and pushed upwards on their chest and, like, held their arms down so you made them do, like, a downward dog as a submission move?
Okay, I'll take that. And
right.
My outfit would be a pajama because, well, Viscera could do it, so, why not me? And gimmick, because honestly, I would never want to be, like, as a kid, you always want to be the dark, mysterious character. At this point, I kind of want to be the most random, outrageous character. That and the Freebird theme song would probably be an amazing career. I've been events a few shows.
If Viscera could do it, why not me? There's
exactly.
The quote of this show.
My gimmick would be the crazy conspiracy theorist. I would be a guy who's, like, everyone thought was crazy, and I was just trying to point out weird things that happen in wrestling and try and figure out why. I'd be like, who's the guy who always knows, like, themes to play when people are making surprise appearances and stuff like that? And I'd, like, try and, like, uncover these mysteries, and everyone would just always shut me down. So I'd be kind of like that aliens guy meme that you see.
Can Hulk Hogan melt steel beams, Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. And my attire, I don't know, I just have some weird clothes, whatever, a suit or a gimmicked out wrestling suit or something. And my theme would have to be the X-Files theme, because that would just work. And finisher, it's got to be the Truth or Consequences, because I love that move.
You love that move.
Would you be from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico as well?
Yeah, or I'd be from Roswell or something like that.
That's awesome. For myself, my gimmick would probably be, the best way to describe it would be Finn Balor, but good. Where you have
shots fired.
Where you have, like, a real, I'm talking gimmick wise, where you have, like, a real Jekyll and Hyde situation going on, where it's a completely different style depending on which one you get, like different moves, different attitude, basically what Finn Balor's supposed to be, but not total dog.
I just got taken over. Finn Balor, but good.
Okay, so Keith, you realize
I love it,
that
Bagel.
If you weren't the heel here before, holy shit.
Right? Well, I'm talking just from gimmick. Finn Balor does not have a good gimmick. We've said this multiple times.
Than Finn Balor. You heard it here first, folks.
Only in Byte
exactly.
That.
Only on Byte That. But yeah, so that would be my gimmick. My finisher, I've always been particular to a cutter. So it'd be some form of cutter. Theme, I don't know. Something that would go along with...
theme.
Probably Heidenreich's theme. Yeah, it'd probably be my name too, Hayden Keith. Sure, bring that back. Why not? And attire, maybe like half shorts or something like that. Something fancy.
Keith wears short shorts, and I will just leave that to your imagination. But thank you guys. Obviously, this has been the longest episode in Byte That history, combined with everything that's been happening, which goes a lot to say about the overall product in WWE, because if something was not happening, this show would not be a longer one. So this is not obviously the tradition. We're basically twice in as as we usually are. We want to thank you for your support. Keep the questions coming, all of the support. Remember that the questions, we can't always get to them, obviously, but we try as much as we can. If they're really good, we can try to bring them up in a future episode, or they can even become their own, as they have through a Square Roundtable. So if your question doesn't make it here, don't worry about it. It's probably going to be brought up at some point, and that point could involve Ryan McNulty giving the go-home cue so that you can finally get off that bathroom. You've been sitting for almost 2 hours in the bathroom listening to us? Why? Why, Ryan?
I don't know, but hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we want to thank you for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. So before you go, just a few quick reminders. Head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Byte That Cast. Hit that subscribe button because we are almost at 5,000 subscribers. We are less than 80 subscribers away from hitting 5,000. Help us get to that huge milestone and check out all the WrestleMania content that we have up on there, such as our WrestleMania review, top 10 stages, and all that jazz. Also like to throw a quick plug out there to the Cynical Cypher, a great supporter of the show. He did a video about WWE and the Roman Reigns issue. I was actually featured in that video, so head over to his YouTube channel, look up the Cynical Cypher on YouTube and check it out. He did a really great job on it, some fantastic editing and voiceovers, and I was happy to be a part of it. Also, you can check us out on social media, Twitter @ByteThatCast, Instagram @ByteThat. You can like our Facebook, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week. Toodles.
Holy shit. 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 Holy